jolly good.
Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clank Zoka. Welcome to another My Thoughts On. And today, I'm going to be talking about Wonder. No, not Wonder Woman. No, not Wonder Park either. I've already talked about them. No, I'm going to talk about Wonder, the 2017 uh, drama, which is directed by Steven Chbosky. Chbosky? I can't pronounce his second name, but this is based on a novel by. I'm gonna have to look up the author's name, otherwise I am going to literally forget. R.J. Palacchio. Again, sorry if I mispronounced the name incorrectly. So basically, it's about the film's about this kid who has like a dysfunctional face, and it turns out that obviously not everyone likes him, and there's bullies, and throughout the story it shows how he changed people's hearts about him and how people can change about what they see. I wanted to see this film when it came out, or close to when it came out, because so when I saw Paddington 2, yeah, at one of my local Cineworlds, there was a trailer for it, and, and I thought, wow, it looks quite incredible and it looks quite heartfelt. And then it says it was playing at cinema, at least Cineworlds for free, like a free weekend or something like that. So I was like, oh wow, we should go. I didn't go. Oh, not because I was not interested in the film. Don't get me wrong, I am, but I just didn't have time to see it. I had so many other films to see, and I was meaning to catch up with it, but I just never had the time until now. So, what's Wonder like, and what's it about? Like I said, it's about this kid named August Pullman, or Augie, who's played by Jacob Tremblay from Room, the one with Brie Larson, which came out, I believe, 2 or 3 years ago. He was in The Smurfs 2, which was obviously his screen debut as well, which explains why he went from annoying to better. Anyways, so he plays this kid who was born with a dysfunctional face, and you know where it's going. There's going to be bullies. There's going to be people who will look at him funny. He goes to a new school and he doesn't fit in. He gets bullied, and he has an older sibling named Veer, who's played by Elizabella Vidvik. Again, sorry if I'm mispronouncing their names, but that's the best I can do. Who's also having troubles of her own at I don't know how these bloody schools work in America. Augie's going to a 5th grade school, and then she's going to a high school where she's doing this drama with a boy that she meets as well, and then there's the parents, who's played by Owen Wilson and Julia Roberts, respectively, as well, who have to try and look after them both, especially Augie, who's quite special and quite unique. Basically, it's just a story about how this kid really changed the hearts of many, many people. So it's kind of like a coming-of-age, inspiring story. I was a little worried that this film would be a little bit too cliched and a little bit, tugging at the heartstrings. And don't get me wrong, I like that, but sometimes the film can rely too much on it, that to the point that it gets annoying. This film does that, but this is something that I never thought a film would do. It does it in a way where I can actually see myself in Augie. Obviously, you've seen my face before. I've not got a dysfunctional face, or I don't look strange, and not to be offensive to anyone who has what Augie has, but how do I put it? This film it really tackles on so many things that I used to do as well. When I went to school, I didn't want, I didn't really want to go there. I was shy. I wasn't bullied to be exact or anything, but I was picked on for liking this girl or anything. But Also, I have a thing for, you know, when you look at something that's too personal and too familiar that you can't help but just look away and just stop. That's what I'm like when I see something in a film or something in real life, or photos from childhood or school or anything like that. I would sometimes just kind of pause for a minute because it's just too personal to go through. It can make me think sometimes. This is kind of what Wanda did for me a little bit, you know. Obviously, this scene has emotional moments where he obviously gets picked on because of his face as well, and there's so many scenes that don't really play it like your typical average. I wouldn't say this is exactly a kids' film. I mean, it's a PG, but there's the same I can say about Where the Wild Things Are. Although both of, I mean, kids can watch them fine if you can outstand the creepiness in the film. Where the Wild Things Are, not Wonder. And as much as I love Where the Wild Things Are, Spike Jones wanted to make a film that's not for, you know, geared towards children, despite being a PG. Wanda seems to be going for the same thing. There are kids in it, but it's not all happy-go-lucky. It's a film that really just does what it needs to do just to give out its message about obviously being kind and, you know, respecting those and treating others who may be different like everyone else. Like, I have lots of friends who have disabilities, who are autistic and you know, are different. You know, so you can't just treat them like they're freaks or anything like that. You must treat them like everyone else because we're all unique. We're all human, but we're different, and we can communicate and we can do things in our own way. And that's what this film really delivers in a very strong note, personally. And you know, I like the kid as well. And his journey's really tough, going to a new school and having your parents walk you, unlike everyone else who takes the bus or something. And you know, he makes friends, and friends turn on each other. There are things in the film which remind me too much of my life, and I didn't. When I was watching, I didn't think, oh god, here we go. I was like, oh, this reminds me of what I was like. Not everything that Augie does in the film, or the film related around Augie. It doesn't really. It doesn't really. I'm trying to think of the word. What's the word? It doesn't. It doesn't affect me personally, but I can see a little bit of what. I can see a little bit of what he had to go through, and how much he had to, you know, be treated in a way. And there's one great scene in the film which I absolutely love. There's a scene where the head teacher, I think Mr. Tushman, who's played by Mandy Patinkin, again, sorry if I mispronounce his name incorrectly. And there's a great scene, I'm sure you've seen it before. It's basically when he's talking to one of the children who keeps on consistently bullying Augie, and then he talks to the parents, and the parents. I mean, we're not giving too much away, but you know, they have a thing with the child, and then you know, the head teacher just straight up tell them, you know, like, you know, bullying is not tolerated in school, and he's not wrong at all. And even the kid, even after hearing all that, kind of has a change of heart and says he's sorry, even though usually I'm like, well, why did you do it in the first place? You know it's wrong. Obviously, he's meant to learn a lesson. It's like, okay, you know, whatever, it's understandable, but still. I didn't cry that much in this film. I almost cried, except for one scene. They have a dog, and I'm not going to say what happens, but I legit. Usually, Pixar films or animated films make me tear down, but this film, it's one of the rare occasions where a live action film actually makes me cry because it is a bit too personal. Obviously, my dog hasn't died, not yet, anyways, but tears were coming down, and there was a great scene where someone had to go through grief, and there's no words, just straight up emotions from a visual standpoint. And that's the great thing about Wonder. It tells its story in a very personal but also rather beautifully unique way. What else can I say about it? I think the story really portrays how we can see from the eyes of a person who's different, but in reality he's not all that different. People may see him as different, but really he's not. Just because his face looks different doesn't mean he's different from anyone else. He's he has a dream. He's nice. He can have his insecurity and emotional moments, but he's just like everyone else. And it doesn't feel preachy. It doesn't feel disingenuous. It all feels justified. Um, Visually, the film is very well shot. It's very beautiful to look at. The makeup is legit wonderful, and no pun intended, by the way, on Augie, especially what they did with his face and how he was born. It looks genuinely genuine. What else can I say? It's well shot, like I said again. It looks beautiful. There's so much bright colours and so much beauty to it. It's a very pleasant looking film, but the makeup is just what really is outstanding, especially on Augie. Sorry. Um, the characters. The thing that really surprised me the most is that they're not one-dimensional characters. The main character is obviously the most important, but then you got his sister, who is who's like older, and she's like he doesn't have that much interaction with him, and she's got her own problems at high school. She gets a boyfriend as well. It's like there seems to be something cliched here, but they do it in a very genuine and just very outstandingly heartwarming way. There's obviously a scene where she says that she's an only child, even though that's not true. That I will admit at first I didn't quite get why. When it's like, well, Oggie's your young brother, so I was like, oh, because I don't want to see him because of his face, and it's like that's actually really sad and it's kind of mean. I get why. I have a brother who's fully autistic, and if I said, I was a single child, I would feel absolutely. I would honestly feel very, very, very ashamed of myself. I'd probably, brothers are embarrassing, and they can be a bit of a pain. But autistic brothers are different, but they can sometimes be a bit, embarrassing, and they can do things that not everyone else will understand. But it's like you can't just say you're a single child even though you're not. But in this film's context, I do understand why, and the character growth with uh, with uh, with Via works, and she's not just a typical sister who doesn't care. Augie has a friend named Jack Will, who's just the new kid who befriends Augie. There's also Miranda, who's friends with Vera, and she doesn't talk to her that much. It's not like, oh, these characters are one-dimensional and that's it. There's actually most of the film's about Augie, but there are sections where we see insights to Vera and what she's going through, and Jack Will, and also Miranda. So all four of these characters have an arc, and it's not like they focus on it and then they forget about it. No, it all actually comes together, and these characters actually come from a understandable point of view and perspective. Really, so at least they give them more screen time. Equally, I would say, just to understand what they are going through and how they feel, which is really wonderful. And there are so many moments where I thought that's really wonderful and sweet. Ooh. Sorry about that. And then you've got the parents. You've got Nate, who's played by Owen Wilson. Not only is he funny, but I think he really plays the dad character quite well. Sure, he's that one character. He's the dad who tells his child to stick up for himself, defend himself, and so don't take any shit from anyone as well. And he's like he doesn't talk much as well. He's very softly spoken, unlike the mother, who's more like overprotective and loud. Honestly, this is where I thought this is a bit too personal for me. The film has moments where I thought this seems rather too personal for the kid, and I was like, this. It seems like something that my parents would do as well, but honestly, well, actually, my parents are both, they can shout quite a lot, but unlike this, it's like, and even my dad tells me to defend myself, and yeah, he's kind of right, but anyways, back onto the film and not my personal life or anything like that. Now, I'm pretty much against the whole using celebrities in films because, you know, they have to use them because they get more recognition. But Owen Wilson does a really good job. He really sells out on the. He really sold me on the emotional scenes, and he's also funny. I always liked Owen Wilson, and Julia Roberts is also really good too. I'm not seeing both of them. I mean, sometimes I can only see who they are, but it's like I can see two different characters played by two really brilliant actors. Sorry, one brilliant actor and one brilliant actress, I should say. Jacob Tremblay is fantastic in the film. As a child actor, he's really, really good. All the child actors do a fantastic job as well. They're all really great, really genuine, and they say their lines like they actually know what to say to the other. As well, everyone does a really good job. I think they're absolutely 100% just really outstanding. They're all really, really good in this film, and I think, I don't know, they seem to play their roles just very straight, very serious, and very real. There's nothing cartoony about it. It all feels genuine. That's why I like it. And Where the Wild Things Are, although as much as insanely nonsensical it is, in a way, it does play on the same level as well. The score of the film, and I can't remember who did the score. Have a look. Mokello Savus did a really good job with the score. It has a very childlike, very wondrous feel to it. No pun intended. Again, it's a good score with lots of good choices of soundtracks as well. There are movie references, like the main character likes Star Wars, and it's like, yeah, I can understand why, but you know the songs they pick are rather fitting, and it's just really nice to listen to. Yeah, I really love this film. This and My Life as a Courgette really shows the power of how much you can make a kids film and make it, well, not necessarily for kids, but make it emotional, relatable, and just downright delightfully incredible. And this might sound a bit harsh, but that's not the intention. But this film, in two words, I would describe it as beautifully tragic. The film's gorgeous, it's well portrayed, but it's also sad and tragic, but it portrays it in a really not really lovely way, but it portrays it in a way that everyone can relate to in certain aspects. Wonder is a really fantastic and really heartfelt film with great performances, stunning cinematography, and great makeup, really relatable, really fleshed out characters. The story's well told from the perspective of mostly the main character, but all these different characters. There are some great emotional scenes, some great funny scenes, and there are great scenes where you can see yourself in the main character. Although I will say that it was a little bit too personal for me, and I will admit it did get a little cliched at the start, but you know what? They pulled it off in a really brilliant and actually not too by the numbers way, and that's what I like. Wonder, despite its tiny flaws, gets 10 out of 10. And I know what you're thinking, why do you keep getting a lot of these films 10 out of 10? Hey, look, I don't treat these films like eye candy. I don't just give them 10 out of 10s because, oh, it's good or anything like that. No, not it. I give them 10 out of 10 because they do something rather extraordinary, and even if there's a few cliches that don't bother me too much, then it's fine. If there's like maybe a few things that I'm like, okay, that did kind of ruin the experience a little bit, but it's not bad enough, it gets a 9, possibly lower. But 10 out of 10, it's like a few cliches, but really, really fantastic. So yeah, 10 out of 10. Whew. Oh, that was a film to get through, I'll tell you that. So, have you seen Wonder? I'm really interested. Have you seen Wonder yet? Do you think it's good, bad, decent? Do you want to see it? Let me know below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. And until next time, bye for now.